Did you know? Though Conker's Bad Fur Day came out near the end of the N64's life, the first version of Conker was slated to be Rare's first platformer on the console, even predating Banjo-Kazooie. First unveiled at E3 1997, Conker's Quest was being made by members of Rare's Killer Instinct team, who had said they were taking a break from the usual violence and destruction. The game was coming along nicely with a rather expansive demo, and magazines even featured fleshed-out strategy guides to early parts of the game. Through the game's playable characters Conker and Barry, it featured varied styles of gameplay for its single player, and the game also had multiplayer built in via co-op and a 4-player deathmatch mode. Though one feature that was rather unique to this game was its emotional aspect. Characters had a wide range of emotions they could convey and would accordingly interact to things around them, which also spoke true for the enemies. This, along with the game's cheery scenery and themes, was supposed to give off the feel of an interactive cartoon. A similar feature was seen with Toon Link in Zelda's Wind Waker, and the reason Nintendo hadn't done it before then was said to be due to system limitations. During Conker's development, another team at Rare who was working on the Super Nintendo RPG Project Dream had seen the Conker demo in action. Dream in its RPG state wasn't coming along too well after switching hardware, so it was eventually decided to be reworked as a platformer in the vein of Conker. The end result, of course, being Banjo-Kazooie. Conker's Quest was planned for a holiday 1997 release, but Rare pushed it back to make room for Diddy Kong Racing, which in turn was filling a gap made by a delayed Banjo-Kazooie, and also featured Banjo and Conker as playable racers to promote both series. Renamed to 12 Tales Conker 64 in 1998, it was then slated to come out in October of that year, with Banjo-Kazooie releasing earlier in June. With that, 12 Tales was delayed once more, this time undergoing a complete overhaul to differentiate itself from the competition. In the meantime, Conker's Pocket Tales released as planned in 1999 for the Game Boy. Pocket Tales is interesting in that the game is on a dual format cartridge, meaning depending on what version of the Game Boy you play on, certain layouts and features will differ from each other. The game also has several 8-bit conversions of music heard in 12 Tales, so it's possible the game could have been a counterpart to the original title, similar to Rare's Perfect Dark and Mickey's Speedway games. Also, if left idle, Conker pulls out his own Game Boy, much like he would in Bad Fur Day, and he can be heard playing a bonus level from Donkey Kong Land. With this release, it would be the last time we saw Conker as anything but mature. Conker began its new life when designer Chris Seaver decided to take charge. Previously working on art for 12 Tales, Seaver had an idea for the game's new direction and was issued a challenge to see if it would work. Rare co-founder Tim Stamper came up with the idea early on where Conker has to retrieve a beehive stolen by a gang of wasps, and he gave Chris the responsibility of adding a narrative. In the words of Seaver himself, what can we do with that? Oh, I know. We'll make it violent. He presented his demo to the Stampers and they gave him the go-ahead. It was also done to exemplify the new controls and the idea of players being rewarded with cutscenes, their equivalent to Mario's Power Stars. When it came to scripting the cutscenes, Bad Fur Day had no real script whatsoever, being more or less completely improvised by Seaver and the game's composer Robin Beanland, which was said to make things more fluid and spontaneous. Bad Fur Day's marketing was rather sparse, though there were some wild approaches to how they got the word out, one instance involving Playboy. Teaming up with Nintendo, the two companies went on tour to 20 college campuses across the US to have students play Conker's multiplayer and win various Playboy and Nintendo prizes. One noteworthy winner was Florida State U student Neil Druckmann, leading his team to victory in beach mode due to his dodging skills as a Frenchie and earning himself a Conker t-shirt. Druckmann later went on to be lead director for Naughty Dog's The Last of Us and Uncharted 4. Even more contrary to their image, Nintendo was also very lenient and supportive of Bad Fur Day in general. At E3 2000, Nintendo had a separate booth for Conker where people had to show ID to get in and play the game. They even had a bar set up in the booth, serving beer to whoever wanted one, and gave out Conker-themed plastic mugs and condoms as swag. Despite the game's new facelift, a few elements from Conker's earlier outings still remain, such as the bouncing mushrooms and sunflowers, windmill and barn areas, and minigame music recycled for the track The Old Chap, named that way as a remnant of 12 Tales. 12 Tales also had a gladiator track, which would be reappropriated for Rare's Jet Force Gemini, and Bad Fur Day's Count Bachelor theme was actually taken from Killer Instinct 2 from an unused vampire character. Some of Conker's most iconic moments have interesting backstories to them. The Scarecrow Birdie was based off Rare veteran Paul McKell, who had the nickname Beardy due to his beard and was known for drinking Pepsi Max by the gallon, both of which were referenced early on in the game. The origins of the Great Mighty Pooh, appropriately enough, came from a toilet incident from software engineer Chris Marlowe. He apparently took a legendary stool during work hours, and Seaver and the team were so pleased with it, they encapsulated it into the game, with Marlowe providing its voice. Bad Fur Day's movie parodies came about when they were designing the levels, and they really complemented the game, helping shape cues for music and new gameplay ideas. The team also made sure they captured the feel for the movies parodied. Animator Louise O'Connor had spent months working on the Saving Private Ryan portion of the game, to the point where she had nightmares of squirrels on fire as a result. Though their hardships paid off, because according to Seaver, had the parodies not been there, the gameplay would have been completely different and likely wouldn't have been as good as it was. This new direction for Conker all stemmed from the fact that the Banjo and Conker teams tried to outdo each other, and references to each other's games were also statements of that friendly rivalry, most evident with Banjo's head mounted on the wall and Kazooie's head as an umbrella handle in the bar. This was taken a step further for Conker Live and Reloaded, where they referenced 2003's Grabbed by the Ghoulies, another game from the Banjo team. If you start a new game in File 3, the game's protagonist Cooper can be seen in the bar's bathroom, throwing up in the toilet. Don't forget to subscribe to Did You Know Gaming for more facts and trivia. If you liked this video, give it a like, and if you're a fan of Nintendo, click the annotation on screen to check out our video all about the Nintendo 64. And if you want to hear more about Rare, check out this video I did talking all about how they've made a bit of a comeback this last year. And though they may not have made games you wanted to play in the last little while, I say that Rare magic never truly went away. But it's really showing again as of late, and I couldn't be happier. Anyways, that's all from me. See ya!